Hello, everybody. Talking to you today from Dibba Scientific Institution. From this platform, Mrs. Rania Serag is about to introduce this IELTS course. Before introducing such a course, I'll speak briefly about oneself. As I said, my name is Rania Serag. I've been graduated from Ain Shams University, but my postgraduate studies and TEFL certificate has been accomplished through Santa Cruz University in California. Now, we are going to speak about IELTS in depth. What's IELTS? IELTS is an international English language system. This test is very important to a lot of people. Its importance is concerned with whoever likes to continue his postgraduate studies or even the foundation ones, and for those who are looking forward for immigration. And the very important question, is IELTS accepted in USA as well in Europe? Yes, indeed. Then it's very, very fundamental. As we said, let's look at an overview about what do we mean by IELTS. IELTS has got different types, and we'll get through what are these different types. Moreover, you can get this certificate or this exam through either the British Council or an IDP, and we'll talk about the difference between this and that. And we'll speak as well about the marking criteria and the results and the test format and modules. If we look deeply over here, what's language characteristics? If we are about to acquire a language, then we are looking forward for a more likely native or semi-native level through a process. The process will include listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And if we will get through it, we will first start by the types. As we said, it has more than one type, mainly two types, either academic or general training. Both modules evaluate your aptitude in listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And we'll get through. Before going through the sections of this test, we will get to know where should I book this test. Either you will book this test through an IDP or a British Council. There is no difference at all. As long as the certificate is stamped, then the exam is identical. Then we can book either or. Then we know that the first obstacle is not an obstacle at all, just an easy stuff. Okay? Marking criteria in the IDP or International Development Program, any program in any certified center, or even the British Council, is unified. Then listening and reading tests are marked clearly with a basic ground. The writing as well, because the teachers, whoever get trained on the criteria, they will follow the same steps. In the speaking, it will be in a different campus, or sometimes in the same campus but in a different timing. And it will test your fluency, coherence, and your grammar and pronunciation, and as well as your resources or background knowledge. The band scores. Of course, we have 9 bands. If you will score band 1, then you are not a user. If band 2, then you are an like a beginner, but it's not to be required or not to be recognized by anything. Then we are looking forward mainly with a minimum of 4.5 or 5, which is considered a modest user. If you're about to join a foundation level in any university, maybe they will ask you starting from 5.5 and above. But for those who are looking forward for immigration or postgraduate studies or even more complicated or scientific universities, they will be required from 6, 7 and above. And we'll get to know how to be a competent user or a good user. Of course, there are tips and tricks and things that we should get over. The results. The test results, whenever you get the certificate or the result, this will be valid for 2 years. Then you can apply in any university or any immigration system within these 2 years. There is no passing or failing mark, but there is a required mark. Of course, Band A9 will be your best choice, and Band 1 will not be recognized as we said before then. Then let's go to the questions. The IELTS test format. As we said, we have 2 types. Here is academic and here is general. The listening is unified for both. Then if you booked for either academic or general, we will be seated in the same testing room and you will be handed the same piece of paper. In the listening, you will consume 30 minutes and you will get through 4 sections, including 40 questions. In the academic reading, you will consume 60 minutes for 3 paragraphs and you will expect 40 questions. On the other side, in the general training reading, you will have also 30 minutes. You will have 3 sections, but not mainly paragraphs, and we'll get to know why. And you will have 40 questions as well. In the academic writing, you will have 2 tasks with 60 minutes, as well as general, but the tasks are a bit different. But you will consume the same amount of minutes, 60. In the speaking module, it will consume almost 11 to 15 minutes. It will be 3 parts and we'll go to each part in particular. And we'll get to know which part can be the platform or the pillar for your conversation. The band calculation will be like that. If you score for listening 9, reading 9, writing 9, speaking 9, of course you will score an overall of 9. 7, 5, 7, 7. Then they will have an average and we'll find out. Let's go step by step. First, the first part, which is listening. As we said, there are 40 questions within 30 minutes. Or 35 minutes, and they will give you as well 10 more minutes to transfer your answer from your copy to your answer sheet. It's like a bubble sheet. And we will go in depth thoroughly to know how can we handle copying it and consume the time wisely while and post listening. Types of questions in the listening will be either multiple choice, matching, plan, map, diagram, form, note completion, or table completion. We will go through flow charts, sentence completion, and of course each section of those needs a specific training process and a criteria to handle it wisely and to score the best. Listening test. If I said section 1, because as we said there are 4 sections. Section 1, talking between, it will take place as if 2 people are talking. Then it's a conversation between 2 people. Frequently it's a telephone conversation. Okay? But the second section is a monologue. Monologue means as if you are here listening to a lecture. Okay? It's set in everyday social context. It can be a radio broadcast, not only a lecture. But section 3, it will be a conversation, but more than 2 people will take place in it, like 3 to 4 people. Then you have to get well trained, not to get confused, and they will often take an academic discussion. Then sometimes you have to get acquainted with specific vocabulary, which we consider a bit more scientific. In section 4, It's again a monologue, but it's mainly a lecture. And it's most probably talking about something more likely to be scientific, as if someone giving you a lecture, but it will be like a foundation level, not something that you need to have a background about, even if it's about medicine, then no worries. Then let's go to more questions about reading section. As we said, it's 60 minutes, but here no answer transfer time. Then you have to use your time wisely. Then if I have 60 minutes, I will adjust my time or my watch to consume only 20 minutes for each section. That's if I'm talking in particular about academic, because we will speak a bit separately about the difference between the reading section in the academic paper and the general paper. Then in the academic, then you will adjust your watch on 20 minutes each for each paragraph or each section, because they are 3 sections. The questions will include 40 items. As we said, they are 3 paragraphs, usually in academic. Let's go through the questions. Types. We have multiple choice, and we have true, false, or not given to identifying information. Okay, and it's very important and a bit tricky for saying given or not given, and we'll get thoroughly through it. And as well, he might ask you to identify the writer, okay, or the claims with as well yes, no, or not given. What does he say? What did he mention within this paragraph? And also they might ask you about matching, to match information, headings, titles, features, sentence ending. And as well they might ask you to complete sentences, like sentence completion or summary completion, to might give a thorough or a brief information to summarize what you have understood, or note completion, or table completion, to complete a table if there are data, or to specify specific datum, okay, one by one, okay. As we said, that's about the academic reading. The academic reading might contain some non-verbal material, such as a diagram or articles, which you have to complete. Of course, this has to be trained upon. The approximate number of words within 3 paragraphs in all will be from 2,150 till 2,750 words, nothing more than this. Then that's about your expectation. The paragraphs will be an authentic ones. What do I mean authentic? An authentic text means taken from journals, books, magazines, or newspaper articles. Okay, then professional words and vocabulary are required. Let's go to more questions, okay, about our writing test. The writing test will consume 60 minutes. Tasks, you should spend 20 minutes on task 1 and 40 minutes on task 2, because the first task is shorter. You have to write only an average of 150 words, but in task 2 you have to write 250 words. Let's go through what do they ask you about. In the academic, the first task will be to present your understanding for a table, a graph, a line bar, a map, a diagram, and you will reflect your understanding into wording, okay? To define with your own word the piece of information and what you have understood in a specific way, which needs and requires a specific transformation for this pieces of information. But task 2 is an essay writing to respond to a topic which is presented as a point of view or argument or problem, and you have to clarify your interest, not to be on the bench line or hesitated. No, you have to be frank and clear about it, and you have to respond on both. It's not a choice, okay? Then you have to accomplish task 1 and task 2 as well. General training on writing test is a bit different, because task 1, it will be a letter writing in response to an everyday situation or problem. The letter may be personal, semi-formal, or formal in style. Then, for example, they will ask you about a dilemma or an issue, and you have to introduce like an official letter or an email or whatever, but in an official form, and send it to accomplish what you are requiring. Okay, in task 2 is an essay writing as well, exactly like then task 2 is semi-unified in general training and the academic training. You will respond to a point of view, argument, or problem. An essay can be slightly more personal in style than academic. But in academic, then we will get introduced to specific wording, I mean vocabulary, that are more likely to be academic than the personal style, because in the general training they are looking forward to see how casual are you about to be able to deal with the community. But in the academic, they want to test your ability in dealing in an academic campus, or I mean an academic atmosphere. It's usually used to apply for universities, but the general is more likely to be applied for immigration and general life prospects. Let's go to more questions in the speaking test. In the both general and academic, it's semi-unified. The timing, as we said, from 11 to 14 minutes. Sometimes it exceeds to 15, but no matter, no problem at all. Tasks. Let's go to the tasks and how do they accomplish it. Of course, you will meet a person. I mean, you will not speak in front of a machine, but a person will get to sit in front of you. You will expect that he'll have or she will have either or a recording. Then afterwards, they might revise the score according to the recorded conversation. Let's see. Part 1 is very, very important because it gives the first impression about the student, or it gives the impression to the examiner about your background and fluency. Of course, fluency and coherence is the main target whenever you go through this test. As we said in part 1, you will consume from 4 to 5 minutes. You will introduce yourself, introduction. Then that's very easy to get trained upon. Then we can practice it. You should practice it with confidence, good grammar, good pronunciation, and without pauses in the middle or hesitation. And it's easy to get through it. In part 2, it will be a specific topic from the examiner's choice. You will consume as well from 2 to 3 minutes in it. In part 3, you will consume from 4 to 5 minutes, but it will not be a topic that you will start speaking thoroughly about it. No, it will be a discussion. Then he can drop a pop-up question and ask you to respond thoroughly about it. As we said, coherence, pronunciation, self-confidence, vocabulary, choice of background and knowledge is very important. Usually the topics are expected before then. And of course, if you will enter our course to get prepared to this test, we will introduce you with such topics. Let's go specifically, a bit more specifically about the introduction. As we said, from 4 to 5 minutes, what are you expected? What does he expect you to speak about? He is expecting that you will cover these 4 minutes or 5 minutes talking about your hometown, your work, your study, your house, your hobbies, your food, your clothes, sports, friends, readings and writings, shopping, festivals, celebrations, etc. Speaking part 1 topics. Okay, part 1, you can speak about your birthday as well, childhood, computers, TV, pets, all of these. Part 2, as we said, it's an individual long term. Then he will drop a question and he's expecting a long response. Okay, then the candidate will be provided by a task, a cue card. Then he will hand you a card and you will look at it and you will start talking with as well coherence, fluency, and self-confidence. You will talk with no pauses expectedly for 1 to 2 minutes. And the examiner will start asking you, but after he listens to you for these 2 minutes. He will ask you about the same topic that you have received a cue card about. In part 3, in the speaking, it's a bit different. You will pop onto the level of like a ping pong game. He will throw the ball and he's expecting a keen eye, a very prompt response from you. And you will consume from 4 to 5 minutes in this conversation. He will use something like a theme related, something related to part 2 to complete, like to put you in the same mindset. The examiner will ask you further questions on the topic, like predict, analyze, compare, give an opinion for the future. These questions can give the candidate an opportunity to discuss more about the issue and to check his concentration, coherence, and fluency, choice of words and vocabulary, and depth of knowledge. As we said, and we'll keep saying it, fluency, coherence will take 25% of the score. Lexical resources will take 25% of the score. Grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. Pronunciation is quite important as well. It will take 25%. That's a brief overview, and I wish that you would have gone well acquainted with it, and I wish that you've liked it and you're looking forward to join the rest of our course. And just a tip before finishing this record, you will ask yourself, why would I join a course if I can get all the resources through internet? I'll answer you this regular question because through a personal tutor, you will get to know your weak points and how can you strengthen it. That's number 1. Number 2, you will get an examination or a test I don't mean one test, I mean more than a test that will give you a reflection of the expected score that you might score and how can you upgrade it. Like, for example, some people are required to score 6.5 or 7, and they are always going there with their wonderful work, personal effort, but they never score above 5.5, and they don't know why, although they practice and train and etc. That's why there are small clues, small tips. The examiner might recognize it from our perspective and reflect it to whoever takes the exam. See you later. Looking forward to be your companion through your success journey in IELTS exam and IELTS course. See you.